welcome back to the court of the Edijester, good people. How are we today? Now, there's an important announcement about something that's coming up, which I'll cover shortly. Before that, usual stuff, buy me a coffee if you can do, come be a warrior teacher. Looking forward to teaching again tomorrow, seeing one of the older groups. They're on year 2. So please do come and join us. We're having a ball. Now, ta-da! This is important, really important, okay? I've got a Substack here from called Ronalize, Ronallyze. Again, as usual, links downstairs for you to peruse. The self-ID law passed in Germany. Now, we've been aware of this for some time. Germany drowns women's rights and child protection from Rona Due. I hope I pronounced that right, Rona. I'm sure you'll let me know if I haven't. What I'll do is I'll restack this on my Substack once I've completed the video so that you can see it, but also, as usual, links downstairs. Rona here is talking about what's happened in Germany recently, and this relates to what it is that I'm going to tell you about next. So let's just get some flavour of what's happened here. So on Friday, the 12th of April, 2024, the German Bundestag passed the so-called Self-Determination Act. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. I'm sorry, my German is so rusty. As with the adoption of the draft bill in the summer of 2023, the date for the second and third readings and adoption of the law was announced at very short notice and only 3 days in advance. The date itself was set for a Friday lunchtime, when the Bundestag is expected to be sparsely populated. This foreshadowed that the law would also be pushed through in Germany with the no debate strategy of IGLYO, Dentons and Reuters, as this legislation does not stand up to public debate. Again here, referencing, you see, very important, some of the LGBTQ groups, Dentons, the original Dentons document, which is a fascinating insight into the first sort of instructions in a legal kind of framework of how to get all this nonsense into law, which is exactly what happens. Dentons, when gender Nuremberg happens and the critical social justice nutters are brought to justice, somebody from your place is going to be the first one on trial. So this Wednesday, the Wednesday before, there was a final meeting of the Family Affairs Committee, which cleared the way for the bill to go to the Bundestag. Now, the adopted amendment removed key protective clauses from the previously adopted draft. Among other things, the review of a person before a change of sex entry suggested by the Federal Criminal Police Office and the Federal Ministry of Interior was removed. This deletion was fueled by the large-scale Yes to Self-Determination campaign, which reinterpreted any protection against abuse as discrimination and mistrust, and was supported by well-known influencers and public institutions against all reason. This all sounds so familiar, doesn't it? So you see it happening in Germany, we've got it happening in France, Switzerland, wherever you go, this gender identity nonsense is running roughshod over reality and over sensible, safeguarding-driven lawmaking. The debate in Parliament gave voice to feminist criticism, at least through Suzanne Hurl and Sever Wagenknecht, with the exception of a few abstentional votes not cast and a few sparse no votes from the FDP. The Self-Determination Act was supported by all 3 traffic light parties. That's the SDP, Greens, and FDP, as well as Die Linke. The law was rejected by the CDU, CSU, the Sarah Wagenknecht Alliance, and the AfD. Now, so it's gonna happen. It's been put into law. But what we've got here that's really useful, and thank you to the author for this, is the Self-Determination Act summary. So let's just take a brief look at that. Any man can declare himself a woman by a simple declaration without any checks at the registry office. Sex offenders charter, isn't it? The change of gender entry does not have to be permanent, but may be changed once a year, so they can change back every year. Germany, powerhouse of science. It just now looks like a bunch of fairy tale nutters. Various entries can be selected: man, woman, diverse, no entry. So in other words, you can remove your sex from your marker anytime you want. These may be used by people who want to change a gender entry from female to male or male to female, people who desire a gender entry diverse, people with a variance of gender development, aka intersex or non-binary. It's just nonsense, without presenting any certificates, and people who do not want a gender entry at all, non-binary. The fantasy gender identity non-binary is thus declared a legal fact in the Self-Determination Act, and that's dangerous beyond belief, because non-binary is by far the most dangerous from a cultural, social, and legal point of view. Parents can determine the gender entry of their children themselves from the age of a baby. So lunatic transhausen parents can now go, the doctor gets excited and says, "It's a boy," and they go, "Yeah, I'm not having that. No, let's put down a girl or non-binary. Let's have a non-binary baby. These people are dangerous." From the age of 14, young people are allowed to determine their own gender. Really? What for? However, parental consent is required. If the parents do not agree, a family court can be called in to override the parents' veto. For separated parents, there is a risk that the parents who refuse to change the gender entry will lose custody. Do you see what it is yet? Okay, it's just beyond me that when we see this happening all over the place, and here, obviously being reported about it in Germany, that there are still so many people who go, yeah, but it's not really a problem, is it? My mate Jocelyn, who's been trans for 10 years, yeah, it's not a problem. Right, it's a huge damn problem. Right, and in the case of minors, the gender entry may be changed at any time. So one thing Saturday, another thing Sunday. It's just nuts. A ban on disclosure prohibits naming the sex and former name of a person. This prohibition now also applies to family members in the adopted law. The intention is decisive here. Anyone who does not name the gender and former name with the intention of causing offence and in a friendly manner is to remain unpunished. Anyone who violates the ban on disclosure will face a fine of up to €10,000. So I'm Napoleon, and if you don't say so, I'm going to fine you. That's what this is. That's what this is in Germany. This is really important. It's really urgent that we get our heads around this. Quotas for women are cancelled. Gender identity, not sex, is a decisive factor for quotas for women. There shouldn't be quotas at all in my book, but I'll argue that with the women another time, as I do with my warrior teachers. In the event of war, men are not allowed to declare themselves women and are conscripted as men. Funny that, isn't it? Isn't it? It's like war's a leveller. It's like when they turned them away, wasn't it, in the Ukraine war? They turn up with their wigs and they're trying to escape, and they go, where the hell are you going, buddy? Back you go. On the birth certificate of newborns, the gender identity entry of the parents at the time of birth is taken into account, not the sex. In the case of legally incompetent persons, the mentally disabled adults, the carers decide on the gender entry. This is absolute insanity on every level. On every level. And this is Europe this is coming from. Bear that in mind. Or you, let's get back in close contact with Europe. Sex-specific women's spaces, women's refuge, women's prisons, and women's sports should only be able to be maintained in individual cases via the Gender Equal Treatment Act and domestic law. Germany has eradicated the idea of women. Now, this is then followed up by, and you can explore this much more in this excellent article explaining the situation, some possible legal consequences, as you can see there, some possible legal consequences for the irresponsible legislation, and then there's a great breakdown there, and then men's rights are becoming more aggressive because trans is a men's rights movement. My thank to Rona, as you can see there at the top. Thank you, Rona. This has proved very, very useful. Now, the reason that I've done this is to also tell you about this. Now, 12:05 on the old Twitteroids has informed us that there is a UK protest in support of German women opposing the government's introduction of gender self-ID, which will take place on November the 1st at 12:05 outside the German embassy. Now, you can register to join that there, as you can see, protest at the German embassy on Eventbrite. Let's just have a quick look. There we are. Protest at German embassy. Date and time, 1st of November, and about this event. Join us for a protest at the German embassy. It's all the usual stuff. I don't know if the video's cut that off. I think it has, but we'll have a look and see. Anyway, really important. Please do get involved. The tweet with the link from 12:05 is also downstairs in the Dubras. And I do hope that those of you that are close enough and those of you that are able to will go down and support the people that are saying to Germany, no, that this is absolute nonsense and it needs to stop. I'm so glad we left Europe. How many of you that wanted to stay are now glad we left? That's an interesting question. Stick it in the Dubras and let me know. That's enough, right? Go offer your support. At least tweet your support if you can't get that on the day. Okay? Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you soon. Jester out. Bye-bye, everyone.